I was 14 or so, 15, I used to spend a lot of time in the music practice rooms at school. And I'd like to share with you some of the things I used to do in there so that you can do them too and get pretty good, kind of like I did. Yeah. So one thing I used to do is I'd take like a chord type, let's say the sixth, and I'd play that around the cycle of fourths, but I'd use that chord as a finger independence exercise, as a rhythm exercise, as an improvisation exercise, and as a major scale reinforcement exercise, as an inversion exercise, and just so many things. And it might take half an hour, 15 minutes, but that's what I'd do. And I'd often go around in the cycle of fourths, so C6. So I might first of all just think, right, what's the key of C? Okay, I know the key of C. I can't hear myself. And I would play the sixth chord based on the template which I had just learned, 1, 3, 5, 6. So I'd always use both hands. I do everything staccato, unless I do something with the pedal on purpose. But first of all, I would just simply see the shape, and I'd open it up a bit like that everywhere. Just see it. Just move around like this. Can't go too low because I'll hit the stand. But I'd play it everywhere because both hands have to be able to play chords. And that would I'd play it with my natural fingering, which happens to be like this. And I would just, like I said earlier, just play around with it in different ways. I might play around with it rhythmically, maybe with a bit of pedal here, so I might play a bit of a bass here. That's, just a little rhythm, maybe a little swing thing. Just to really see it and drill it. Then I might do a little improvisation with it, just using the notes of that chord. Just messing around with it like that. I used to practice rapid arpeggios. Slowly, of course. Slow practice. Speed comes from slow practice. And just do that. Do it descending as well, but... And then just slowly, I just get that, rapidity coming. Just stroking the keys with the fingertips there. Descending. This is how the precision comes. Just messing around like that. Then I'd jump up a fourth, so F. But I always made an effort to see where the next shape was before I arrived on it. So I'm playing around in C, and I can see the F shape is F and A, C and D. So C is in the past. Although I'm playing it, I'm about to leave it. So I don't care about it anymore. I'm going to go to F now. And then I can see it in the key of F. Then I just get used to it in the key of F. And I drill it. And often my eyes were closed, of course. Kind of like they are right now, that's why I said it. I'm just not really looking. This is going to come so quickly for you, you're not going to believe it. This is not something that takes months and years. It takes minutes and hours. So I can see the key of F. And each one, you start to get a little develop a familiarity with it. The D feels like the sixth. There's a line. I wanted to talk about this as well. There's a line between intervals for me in my mind, and pairs of notes. Oh, I'm so glad I remembered to say that because I really wanted to. There's pairs of notes that go together. So when I think about a sixth chord, for example, I'll use different chords in a moment. They go together. So whenever I see the C, the A is just joined with it. They just go together. When I'm in the key of F sharp, the D sharp is there instantly. It's just they go together. Of course, it comes from repetition, but they just fit together. It's like the 2-5-1 progression. Whatever key you're in, to say B flat, the C and the F go with that B flat because it's the 2 and the 5. They just go together, so that you just can't separate them. Like the key of A flat, it's always going to be B flat minus 7 and E flat 7. I'm not saying that now because I'm looking, but they literally go together. Key of D, it's going to be E and A. They just fit E. And then you can play all the fancy versions, of course, but the basic root is E and A is the 2-5 of D. They're in a little group. So when I see a sixth chord like the E, the C sharp just goes with it. And there's like a little sort of line in my mind, I guess, kind of going up to that C sharp. You just can't miss it. Key of G, it's an E. You just can't miss it. because they feel like they go together. It's like the alphabet. If I just jumped onto a letter, M, you instantly know what comes next. N, O. You can start the alphabet anywhere. May have to think a bit harder in reverse, but we didn't learn it in reverse. We learned it A to Z, didn't we? So it's kind of like that, really. So that's one thing I used to do. And eventually you'll get to the point where you've gone around the cycle of fourths and you've spent, a few minutes in each key. It's B flat one. So you wonder why I don't miss notes or I sound melodic or I have a good precision. It's because I was doing this stuff in the first days and weeks and months of ever sitting in front of a piano. I wasn't wasting time with all these books and things. I was at the piano, playing chord types in all the keys. I knew all the major scales, and I was doing finger independence, and I was being a bit free with the improvisation and playing rhythms and using natural fingering, all in the beginning, not wasting time through all these books, which are impeding. And no book was ever written for you. So, and that's another thing about inversions. If I just jump up to E flat 6 here, when you start to improvise around the notes of the chord that you're in, you lose the root, which is a good thing. You're not just thinking that, oh, that's the root, and that's the first inversion, and that's the second inversion, all these things. Well, hang on, that's technically the first inversion in theory. I'm not thinking like that. This is the second inversion. I'm not thinking like that. I'm just thinking, these are the 4 notes, 1, 3, 5, 6. I can play them anywhere. That's why I don't like to promote the idea of inversions. Otherwise, you think there's 4 things to remember. If the note has 4, I don't remember these inversions at all. Even now, I can't play them properly. I don't really remember them. I just see the notes of E flat 6, and I don't really care which one is first. And that comes from just messing around with the improvisation. Just see it. Just see the notes. It doesn't matter where you play them. All I'm seeing are those 4 notes. That's it. So and then eventually you get to the point where you take a chord and you can just go up a 4th, and you just land on it. Because I already see the E flat, because they go in pairs. The B flat, the 4th of B flat is E flat. It's just they go together. There's A flat. Now the D flat's, and then the 4th is G flat. They go together, and then it's going to go to B. And then the B and the E are in pairs, and the E and A are in pairs. The A and the D are in pairs, and the D and G are in pairs, and of course G and C are in pairs. So I'm just thinking ahead to the next one. That's it. And I used to do that with all different chord types. So imagine that was day 1. And then day 2, I would go on to minor 7s. Exactly the same thing. C minor 7, I see the shape. Okay, the scale. The minor scale I would always use as the Aeolian mode, which means the 6th. So C is a 6th of E flat, so I just play E flat from C. And that gives you the scale. And again, going around, improvising on it. Just messing around. Some rapid arpeggios. Open chords first. Get the shape, natural fingering, eyes are closed, feels good. Do some inversions if I want to. And then just, it just comes over time. It comes from slow practice. And just going around when I feel ready, going around in the cycle of fourths again. B flat minor 7. B flat minor 7. A flat minor 7. Sorry, I played better. I was thinking of the 6th there. Sorry, A flat minor 7. D flat minor 7. And each one feels like like what it is. D flat minor 7 for me, it's just there. It just feels right. It looks right. I'm not seeing notes black and white like you may be seeing. This just feels like I'm in a town or something, and it just looks like that. It feels like that. It has that vibe. But then when I come to this town, it just feels different. Although it almost looks the same, and it's almost the same fingering exactly, basically. It doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same at all. Completely different feeling. And then we're going to B minor 7, E minor 7. Just moving around the cycle of fourths. I I know D's coming next, I know G's going to be after there, so I'm way ahead in my mind. That's the kind of place you need to be at. I also used to do technical exercises with individual fingering, both hands, of course, eyes closed as much as possible. I used to do little groups of notes, so take the key of C, maybe the first 3 fingers, just moving up like this, doing it descending. Do it in any key, do a key of A flat. Do a key of D. It just doesn't matter, but I used to do that with both hands, of course, and choosing different fingers, maybe like weird fingers that I wouldn't normally use, like these 3. I'd never play with these 3 fingers like this, but I would do it as a bit of fun exercise, just to, you know, like that, bit of fun. That's surprisingly accurate. And of course, my favourite butterfly effect. I can't make a video if I'm talking about technical exercises without including this one. So you're alternating the thumb with every finger to its natural stretch. Then you're alternating with the middle finger to every natural stretch. With the ring finger to natural stretch. And then the little finger. You don't have to start right next to each other. Maybe start a little bit apart. Just going up to maybe an octave plus 1. So I used to do that a lot and annoy everybody walking past. Then you change the thumb to being another finger, for example, the index, and then you alternate the index finger with every pair, which of course the intervals won't be as big. And then you do it with the ring finger, and you just get every single finger combination. And then eventually you put you'll be on the ring finger, so it's only the little finger. There's not really a lot of space for that one. I'm not playing a symmetrical note, that's why it didn't work. Just doing that. This is kind of thing. So these 2 are obviously the weakest fingers. So I was just messing around with these kind of things in the practice room. Then it came to chords, progressions. Then it came to songs. And that's when I started to realise, hang on, all these jazz songs are the same. They're all 2-5-1-4. So I spent most of my time drilling 2-5-1-4 or 6-2-5-1-4 in all the keys. And again, grouping them together. Because I knew the cycle of fourths, I could do it in all the keys. And that came, pretty quickly. You start to put a bit of a stride in, bit of a bounce there in the left hand. Whatever the chords are, doesn't matter. So I do 2-5-1-4 in all the keys. And see where I'm going next. Then we go up a fourth, so it's going to be F, so 2-5-1 on F. C7, B flat, up to B flat, and then doing it in the key of B flat, so C1 and 7. Up a fourth to E flat, doing it in the key of E flat, so F1 and 7. Wait, B flat, sorry, what key are we in there? E flat, right, F1 and 7. Mix keys up there. Up a fourth to A flat, etc., etc., etc. So I was doing all these different things in cycle of fourths, all the keys, both hands. That's why no key matters. All the rarer keys like B or D or E, maybe A as well, F sharp, keys that aren't really common, does not matter. I'll do the 2-5-1 in it without a hesitation. The key of B, it just doesn't matter anymore. But that was the case early on. So do that. Basically, just do everything I've done. Just take a couple of hours on a chord type. Another technique I used to like doing as well is that I've talked about it before, but I used to do it in the practice room. The pinkie bounce. With the right hand it's a thumb, but with the left hand pinkie bounce. Because I started it with the left hand, so I called it pinkie bounce. Let's do major 7 this time. Just bouncing up like this. That's what will work out. Everything's staccato, do you notice? I'm not really using the pedal. Do it in the cycle of fourths. D flat's next, G flat. No, B, E, A, D, G. You just know what's coming next because I've done it so many times. So I really hope you can take away from this what you should be doing. Don't worry about repertoire necessarily, because when you come to repertoire, you're going to see all these chords and you're going to go, oh, I know that, I know that, I know that. You're going to hear it, you're going to be listening to the song many, many times on your internal jukebox, so you're going to hear the melody and know it well. You're not going to need a lead sheet. You're going to find the melody, like Autumn Leaves. You're going to know it's 2-5-1. 4th, all the jazz stuff, and then a 2-5-1 onto the 6th. Just play how you want. You get the finger independence from these kind of rolling arpeggio things, doing all these different exercises in keys. I was just doing it in doubles there. Mix and match. Personalize. Find your natural limit. I made a video on that. I used to do that as well. There was a little metronome in the practice room, and I used to do stuff with the metronome. So I'd try and put the pinky bounce thing with both hands. Let's say hold diminished chords. Always trying different chords in every key. Hold diminished. Put the metronome on at like 120. Just basically like that. So two per second. And just see if I could do the hold diminished like that, and then push it up to 160 until I didn't need it anymore, because I just recognised the shapes instantly like that. So hopefully that is of use to you. As always, likes, comments, subscriptions always welcome. Have a look at my video management website, Waterpinions and Cinemas, perhaps Patreon. Requests welcome. All my other videos. See you in the next video. All the best. Bye for now.